Like
good to know your limits, and it's good to know. But what's in that guitar warm up routine? Like, is that as important for you as like the yoga? Like, is that like the other side of it? Does it vary? Is it the same every time? Like, what are you doing?
You know what? It's kind of like, man, I don't have any specific exercises, or it's kind of been the way I've been my whole career as far as writing is. Like, there's not scales or something I practice or anything like that. I just pick up a guitar and start wailing. I don't really have a system for that. Everything I play in my whole career has always been challenging. Like, there's not much simplicity in anything I've ever done. So if I'm just even playing any of the stuff that I've done in my career, whether it's Cannibal Corpse, or Hate Eternal or Morbid Angel or Ripping Corpse, for, like any of that stuff is all complex. So if I'm just playing. Sometimes I'm in a zone and I'm soloing for a while, and then I'm playing rhythm, and usually a lot of times by the time we go on stage, man, I might be like not always, but once in a while, depending on the environment or how jacked up I am, I'm like sweating like a boxer, like I've already been training or something, because I'm just back there wailing. And so for me, I kind of know when I get to I like to call it like autopilot. Like if I'm back there, and for me, it's like I have a rolling cube, and then, I love that thing. I plug straight in. I EQ it by putting it in a corner. Oh, let me get a little more of this or that.
More reverb.
Yeah, exactly. And then that was a little too big when we went to South America, and we had 20 shows and we're flying every day. And so I ended up buying one of those mini katanas that works pretty well, the smallest one I could get. And I just plug in and just wail. But the one thing that when I get on autopilot, and what I mean is like autopilot in the sense of like I'm just speed picking. It's just like, and I just feel like I call it autopilot, where you just like, you can press a button and I'm fucking just really that warmed up. That's when I know it's like, I'm ready to roll. And
you know what, man, with recording too, like I try to get myself there before I start tracking guitars, because like even it's like it's just not the same if you're not there. Like there's this fluidity and just
I agree, man.
Yeah, it's got to be such a difference.
It does, and like and that's what's funny. Like in certain situations where maybe you need to play on the fly or something, I don't do that. Like when we're playing these festivals in Europe and we don't have a backstage, I'm on stage. I don't have a practice. I'm just warming up. It's like it's a rarity. There has to be some kind of like. Something happened where it's just not possible for me to warm up before I go on. Well, certainly recording. I don't even like go through the process of recording until I'm warmed up and I feel like, I got this shit, and then press record, and then it just makes everything so smooth. And same token with someone that comes in here, I don't just like sit down and then they plug in and like, all right, dude, this track,
what you got?
Like, some guys are that gifted, like that they could just turn it on, like I guess I just not
that's not me either.
I guess I'm just not that gifted, but I need to warm up and be physically and mentally, because like I said, when I get in that like autopilot mode where I'm just like, man, I can feel it, I'm ready to roll. And backstage, sometimes it's not I don't get as long to practice or warm up. Sometimes I've also noticed I can over practice or warm up. And so that's why that stretch between say 7 to 10, like maybe it's 2 to 3 hours between stretching and practicing. I also can overdo it where I'm so jacked and I'm like, I have to, it's a balancing act for me. It's tough because I just want to keep playing and playing and playing. But I also realize, okay, dude, you're going on stage. So don't don't kill it. Just be ready.
Yeah. There's a peak.
Waiting,
there's like a peak. There's a peak that definitely
be smart about it.
Yeah, if you go past that peak, like you might, it's not that you're not going to be able to play, but like your best playing is within this peak. Always, I find.
And I agree. And sometimes I'm doing jumping jacks. I'm just getting jacked up. I mean, you know, it's funny that sometimes I'm so jacked up, it can actually be detrimental. And it's just naturally, like I don't drink Red Bull and stuff like that. You know, like years ago, when I was younger, I mean, I would drink so much coffee and Red Bull. And now it's like I have my coffee in the morning, couple coffees, and that's it. You know, I don't really drink soda. I drink a lot of water and coffee and some juice, and that's about it. But I sometimes if I'm a little tired that day, sometimes the show ends up being great because once I get on stage, I'm just a whole different person. You know, I just lose myself completely. You know, I could play in front of 80,000 people and I just see a sea of I don't know what. You know, it's like I'm in a totally different world. So sometimes if I'm too jacked up, my muscles get so tense and I have to like, all right, dude, chill out, you know. It's a balancing act, but I'm up for the challenge, man. I'm always up for the challenge.
And the
And
yoga has had to have helped so much with that.
It does. It mentally, it, man,
Because
especially,
you're probably,
especially
tell me
on
if you're
tour.
able to like start feeling tense, all jacked up, and then like mentally calm it down, like on command, or at least get better at that as a result.
I mean, it's you know, the breathing process of like doing all the stretching and yoga and meditating and stuff is what's helped me tremendously. Keeping my thoughts in check, focused on the task at hand. And you know, when some people like they probably come in the backstage and they see me with this yoga mat and they'd be like, you know, what the fuck is he doing? You know, it's like, well, you know, this to me, I'll do anything to be the best version of me that I can be. And you know, obviously, this stuff is healthy for you. It's healthy for me mentally as much as it is physically. And I notice a significant difference. And someone like me that's had, um, you know, I've had a lot of challenges in my life and things I've had to overcome. And you know, we all in life deal with things. Everyone has their own ailments, whether it's physically or mentally, or you know, they have these challenges in front of them. And I've just noticed that this stuff just makes me significantly better as a whole. And so I just keep doing it. Like I said, I was stretching today before I came to the studio. Man, I just my whole day is better if I do this every time. On tour. It's unfortunately there's times where like you're playing a festival and maybe I don't have a backstage or something, and I'm like trying to squeeze in the bus, like doing shit. I mean, I'll do whatever I got to do.
That's where the adaptability comes in, you know?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So, you know, sometimes I don't get the full Monty of everything I like to do. And I have a routine. And like I said, it's not written down. I just know how I do it and what order I do it. And it's been significantly getting more and longer to the point where I'm like, well, I don't think I can make it any longer. But I have, you know, someone my wife's friend's husband like meditates an hour before he goes to work, not stretching, just meditates. And I thought, wow,
holy shit,
that's incredible.
Yeah.
Like the fact that he could do that, and he's in a really high stressful job. And he said, man, that's what gets me through. It took me years to get to this point. There's times where, like, it's like I usually start on my feet with all my stretching. When I get to the ground, I'll, you know, they call it like the Christ pose. And that's when I'll just lay there and meditate for as many minutes as I can before I start the rest of my routine. And sometimes, man, I'll be laying there and it'll be like 20 seconds. I'll be like, nah, man, it ain't happening. I'll keep doing my stretching and routine, but the meditating part of it is not going to happen today. But I've had to find ways to try to, when my brain is going nuts, enforce that, you know, and